How you feeling, man?
I feel great, It's an ugly day outside, but I feel great. You know what I mean? I'm blessed,
There you
eternally
go.
blessed.
How was
Thanksgiving, I'm
Thanksgiving?
still full. Oh my God, bro. I love it. It's crazy because the family wasn't able to get up because my
Hmm.
brother and his kids, they were sick. So we did like our Thanksgiving up here with the Connecticut people. And we know my
Yep.
brother lives in New York. So we going back down there this weekend to do Thanksgiving again.
Oh, y'all just
I'm bringing
eating
the
good
baby
for
down there
weeks.
and everybody. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we can link everybody up again.
that's dope, man. I'm glad we didn't get together last week, Thanksgiving Eve, but we're back at it, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love it.
So for
Got a
those
lot of
who
good storylines.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for those who don't know, I am Johnell. This is my guy, Matt Price, Cash Walk-In, and this is Designated Reports Heat Check. And we just want to get right into it. We're talking some basketball per the usual. Um, so I think the first thing we want to jump into is Pat Bev.
Oh,
Last week we saw Pat Bev push DeAndre Ayton in the back of the Phoenix Suns. He ended up getting a game suspension, but I know we had in our group chat we were talking about it a little bit. And is enough with Patrick Beverly, like the antics, the all the extra stuff? What do we think about that?
I feel like this, and I feel like you think the same thing. The production doesn't meet the antics. Like
Yes.
he's got to give me a little bit more than what he's giving me to act this way. I'm not saying he's got to be out there averaging 25 a game and like killing everybody, but you could at least be playing good basketball for your minutes and your time.
Yeah.
It's not enough for you as like a contribution that you're just a nuisance, a menace on the court. I just don't think like there's a place for like a enforcer, but there's not a place for this like menace behavior, and that's what he's
Yeah.
up to right now. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and I made the comment in our group chat to Sean and you, and I was like, I thought it was soft because he pushed him from behind. Like, yo, I understand you're standing up for your teammate. I raised my hand. Good for that. I understand that you want to send a message. Good for that. But yo, come around to his face, say what you're doing, and then push him. I just think
Yeah.
that that's more. You don't have to. I'm not saying you have to, but to me, that's for me. That's what I would do. I don't care how big he is. I'm gonna come around. If I'm trying to send a message, I'm gonna let you know the message is coming from me. I'm not gonna send you into the fourth row
Yeah.
and from behind or to push from behind, and you never know if it was me that did it.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think Pat Bev, I think he's a hilarious human. Like when he gets in front of a camera, when he gets on a microphone, I feel like he's hilarious. But I've been kind of over him ever since. I mean, we saw the push of DeAndre Ayton, but we also saw him push Chris Paul a few years ago. And then also when they were down in the bubble, he's in street clothes laughing at Dame Lillard after he had missed a shot. And it's just like again, to all of your points, it's just like you're not good enough to have all this other stuff going on
Yeah,
around you. You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
if like as an undersized professional basketball player, I do understand you got to be fiery, you got to be intense, you got to have those attributes
I
in
get
order to
that.
succeed in the league. But to
I
me,
get that.
he's so loud for somebody that really doesn't do anything.
Exactly. Like it's the brazen nature in which he does
Yeah.
all the things that he does. He does it like he averages 30. Like he's in your face, like, yeah. Like even if he goes up and like missed the layup, he's like, whoa, like in your face. Like I'm like, chill, bro. And then
Yeah.
the antics he pulled, even like in the media, like over the summer, just the way he was talking, I was like, dog,
Yeah.
you're not you're not even the H in him.
Yeah, man.
You
he walks around like he's a top 25 player in the league. And it's like, bro, you might be in the top 200. Like you're not that
exactly.
guy, you know?
Like I said, there's a place in the league for it, I'm sure, because he went to Minnesota last year and his demeanor, that attitude
Yeah.
turned that team around. You can
Yeah.
see this year they're struggling to defend. They're having difficulties. in all the departments that he made them better in last year. But
Yeah,
that effect ain't working on the Lakers, a veteran team of guys who
exactly.
all that barking.
And I think that's a big part of it. Minnesota's a young team. He was able to come in and kind of, I don't want to say assert his dominance, but he was able to come in
No,
and he was able
that's
to
what he
come
did.
in and really put his stamp on that team. But when you're on a team with LeBron, obviously, but with a Russell Westbrook who hasn't had the championship success, but individual success, he has it in abundance. You have Anthony Davis, who's a champion. So it's just like you're not going to come in and do all of these, theatrics and get the same response from those type of players that you would from a younger team like Minnesota was last year.
100%. 100%.
And speaking of Minnesota, we saw Karl Anthony Towns go down with an injury earlier this week. I think it was on Monday, earlier this week. When I saw it, I definitely thought it was an Achilles. I know both you and I,
yeah.
we tore our Achilles. But it seems like it's just, and I put just in quotes, a calf strain. So they're saying
KD had just a calf strain before he tore his Achilles.
Exactly. So with Cat out for at least 6 to 4 weeks, and then they'll reassess, see what happens from there. How do you think this affects the Minnesota Timberwolves?
Well, Shams posted a tweet about it was like from FanDuel Sportsbook. Their line to win the division went from plus 550 up to plus 1,000, and
Oh,
their
wow.
line to win the whole thing went from plus 4,000 up to plus 8,000. So that tells you what Vegas thinks. Vegas thinks without him, they can't do it,
Yeah.
and I think the same thing. They brought Rudy Gobert in for the defensive end. Hasn't even really helped them that much so far because he's similar to the Jazz before him. The front line, the perimeter defense for them is awful. D'Angelo
Yes.
Russell does not believe in defense. Anthony Edwards, as athletic as he is, and I've watched this team. I'm watching everybody because we got a show. So I'm
Yeah.
watching every other team more than anybody, right? Because I want to be able to talk about them. So they really do not defend at all. Anthony Edwards, as athletic as he is, he
He's not a
doesn't
great
guard.
defender.
He lets guys just blow right by him, or he fouls like ridiculously. Like he's in foul trouble early in games a lot. That's why you'll see him come out a lot in early in games. And then they allow so many blowbys, and then Rudy is just back there, trying to swat everything away from the rim. That's their defense. So, and Cat wasn't a great defender either for a big. So,
correct.
Without him to provide the offensive spark that they need, it's gonna like that scoring responsibility is gonna be inherent on now D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards, who again inconsistent players right now. Ant-Man is still young. He's still, putting this game together and trying to do it on an every night basis. And I just don't think that they have it. So I think that they're in big trouble, man. If it's a calf, we're talking about what? January, February. Realistically, he's back.
Yeah. Yep.
2 months, 4 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That before he feels good and he can start working on it again. So who knows where they'll be? That's about All-Star break. Who knows where they'll be by then?
So I didn't trust this team anyway. I know they made the playoffs last year. We just mentioned Pat Bev. I've been very vocal about the Rudy Gobert move in general. I just didn't think, and I mean the stats support it. Like he's not a great offensive player. He's an okay rim protector, but defensively he's a liability if he gets switched out on a screen or anything like that. And then, as you mentioned, with the other players not being particularly good defensive players, like it's just a recipe for a team that is not going to play well, and they haven't played well.
They traded a lot of their good perimeter defenders to get Gobert, and
which I truly don't understand.
Jared Vanderbilt, Malik Beasley, these guys, those are the guys.
So I think, and again, kind of to your point, Cat is extremely gifted offensively. And him going down with the injury, I don't think you can replace that. I think what this could potentially help and again, I don't know if it translates to wins, but in terms of spacing, it's now you have one less big body on the court. You know what I'm saying? So like Cat and Rudy Gobert, like I know Cat's a stretch, but just a big body takes up a lot of space. Now Anthony Edwards, D'Angelo Russell, they can kind of operate in space a little bit more, and potentially that could help them, you know, with their offensive problems. But I didn't trust this team anyway. And with the injury to Cat, I think it just puts them in the toilet at this point, you know, and they're just going to kind of play out the season.
They're sitting at 11th seed right now in the West, just out at 10 and 11, just outside the play-in. And the teams ahead of them, besides Utah, if Utah at some point breaks it down, I don't know who they can get.
Yeah.
Can't get Dallas, can't get Golden State, can't get Portland. Sacramento is real, like I said.
Yep.
The Clippers are gonna clipper. Memphis, New Orleans, Denver, Phoenix. Not passing any of them. So I don't know where they get back in without him. And like I said, 4 to 8 weeks is they haven't made that official, but I'm gonna assume that it's gonna be a month or two with an injury like that before he can get back to playing level. We're talking about All-Star break, and again, they're not gonna be. And now what do? You've invested all your draft capital, everything. Your money is all tied up. What do you do here?
Yep.
What do you do with him?
Yep. And again, to your point, we saw KD, he had the calf strain and different positions, but basketball, when it comes to the calf, when it comes to the Achilles, like you have to be explosive. You have to be able to shift and maneuver in tight spaces.
You use it for everything in basketball.
Yeah. So that's going to be 1 to 2 months where he's not really doing anything. He might be on a bike or something like that. And even after he gets back, it's going to take time to get his wind back, to get his conditioning. And again, at that point, at the All-Star break, a little after All-Star break, like where are the Timberwolves going to be? Where is he going to be physically? And obviously you don't want to risk him, tearing an Achilles or something worse to where he's now missing another 12 months with surgery and recovery and the whole nine. So they're in a tricky spot.
Got to be smart. Got to be smart. Exactly. Like you invested in making a run this year because you felt like you were there the last couple of years. And now you're like,
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
100%. 100%.
Not what they wanted. Not the result they wanted, but I don't think they'll hang on.
So let me ask you this. Kendrick Perkins put out a list of his top 5 MVP candidates right now.
Dear Lord.
In order, he has Jason Tatum 1, Giannis 2, Devin Booker 3, Ja Morant 4, and Tyrese Halliburton 5 from the Indiana Pacers. Do you agree? Disagree? Would you change anything to Kendrick Perkins' top 5 MVPs currently?
I vehemently disagree. There's a very notable omission in there by the name of Luka Doncic.
Yes.
My preseason MVP favorite. Let me run these numbers for you. 33.5 points per game. That's first in the league. He's leading the league in scoring. Yep. He's averaging 8.8 rebounds, and that's good for 21st in the league, and 8.6 assists. That's good for 4th in the league. And his team is like I said, they're sitting the 10th seed. They're inside the play-in, but everybody's 10 and 11 or 11 and 10 right now. The whole league. Without him, they are a 3-win team right now, baby. He has won them. Right. He has won them like 7 games already this year. He's been unbelievable. That's a notable omission. Luka is the only player on this list that I would give, besides Luka, like who I would give the edge is Tatum, because his team is so good. 17-4 is Boston, best record in the league. That is the only player, and since he's playing so good, that's the only player that I would give the edge over Luka.
And honestly, that like my only thing with Luka is his team has not been playing great. So that he's been playing incredible. Like you said, they might be a 3-win team right now without him. My issue is with, most valuable player. Value is such a subjective term, right?
Right, right, right.
Luka's been playing incredible. He's been playing, out of his mind, but his team's not winning. So do you give him the most valuable player because of how great he's been and the value he adds to his team, or is it the most valuable player like in the league? And I think
To
that's
their
where
team.
the discussion is.
Yeah. So that's exactly, and that's what I'm saying. It's like, how do you interpret most valuable? To me, the fact that he's able to take a bad team and still have them in the
Fair enough.
conversation is crazy. Like Jason Tatum is doing what he's supposed to be doing with a team. Halliburton and John Morant, I would even give those edges to too. Like John Morant is playing unbelievable, but like Devin
Yeah.
Booker, he's playing good. He's playing good basketball on a great team.
Yeah. I
Tatum
definitely
too,
agree.
Giannis too. Giannis, these guys got great talent around them. Without Ja Morant, that Grizzlies team is good, but they're not a playoff team.
I
Without
agree.
without Luca, just tell me about that team. That team is bad
Yeah.
without him. He does everything. And honestly, I get from a basketball standpoint where it could be bad because a lot of time they were talking about it last night. Charles Barkley and Ernie and all these guys. They were saying how that team is sitting around watching him a lot because he's
Yes.
so ball dominant, and that's
Yeah.
how he has to do what he does. And they need to play at a faster pace. But still, he's playing at his pace and still putting up gaudy numbers. And they're not playing well right now, but they're in every game. He has them in every game. Like if you watch their games, if you go back and read their scores, they are not getting blown out ever, ever. They are in every single game. Last night they won by 3. The other night against Milwaukee they lose by 9. Toronto they lost by 5. Boston they let that game get away from them at the end, but it was close the whole game. The last Wednesday night, they lost by 1 to Denver. They beat Denver the night like a couple nights before that. I mean, it's just they're he is unbelievable. And
Yeah.
people gotta understand what I'm saying here. You can't if you're having an MVP conversation right now, early, extremely early, Luca has to be in that conversation. I'm sorry,
So
Big Perk.
so
Sorry.
I
I
don't
won't
disagree
carry
with
on.
you. I don't, I don't disagree with you necessarily. Again, that my only rub is just giving an MVP to a team that's giving an MVP award to a player on a team that's bad. But again, it's
Right.
very early in the season. I mean, things could turn around very quickly. I think the other part of it, or the thing that kind of works in Luka's favor, is you had players like Russell Westbrook, who he won the MVP in large part because he averaged a triple double, but he dragged very bad OKC teams to the playoffs. So,
Yeah.
if Luka's able to get, I think 10 might be a little too low, but if he's able
Yeah.
to play at this level and get that team to like the 8 seed, I think he's very much like at the
100%.
like the upper echelon of that MVP talk.
100%. Like they lost Jalen Brunson. And I
Yeah.
can attest to the impact that a player like
He's been
Jalen
very
Brunson
good for you
has
guys.
on a team. It's like to lose him and still be doing what Luca is doing. Like I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I'm impressed, yo. I'm impressed.
I think the only other person that I would want to, again, so me personally, I'm not mad at Kendrick Perkins' list, honestly. I
Mm.
think the two people, one was Luca that I kind of had an exception with, and then the other person is Donovan Mitchell. So
Oh
Donovan
yeah,
Mitchell, he left Utah, obviously, went out to Cleveland. He's averaging 28, 4, and 5. And that team
yeah,
is sitting currently, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I believe they're sitting at 3 in the East. So that backcourt, him and Darius Garland, as formidable a backcourt as any in the league.
well,
And
they can score, man. They can
yeah.
score.
So I feel like he's got to be somewhere in that conversation as
I
well.
agree. I agree.
And for what it's worth, I've never been a huge.
I put him ahead of Halliburton
Yeah. I would too.
because
I would too.
Halliburton is playing great and he's doing good for that team. But they also on Indiana, they probably have the rookie of the year on their team, and Miles Turner is reborn right now. He's playing
Yeah.
outstanding basketball. He's playing that like I dare you to trade me type basketball. And like that's
You're
what they are. They're
absolutely
the
right.
4 seed. They're the 4 seed in the East. They're
Yeah.
12-8. The
Again,
Pacers.
I'm not mad about him at the 5 spot. I just think that there are again those two players, namely, I just think that they're playing at an incredible level, and in the case of Donovan Mitchell, his team's winning as well. So
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's yeah, and again, it's still very early, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of Perk's 5, as well as the 2 that we added in Luka and Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Is there
I don't
anybody
hate the
else?
list. I don't hate the list. I hate that he left Luca off the list.
Fair enough.
I do like all 5 of these guys. I just don't. I don't think that there's a world you could talk about MVP and not mention Luka Doncic right now, given what he's doing on the basketball court.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. So I wanted to do a little another little segment, and I just want to get your initial thought and then your reasoning behind it. So it's overrated, underrated, or properly rated. So
Okay.
it's gonna kind of be. I'm hoping I can stump you honestly, where it's not, not everything is the same answer for all of them. But
All right.
let's see if I can get you. So overrated, underrated, properly rated. Ja Morant.
I think properly rated.
And how do you? I know, where did you have him ranked in your player ranking before the season started?
He was in my top 10.
Okay,
I think I had him at number 10. Oh no, did I have him at number 10? No, I had him at 9.
had him at 9. So you think at 9 he's the ninth best player in the league, properly rated at that position in your mind?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I mean, that kind of plays into
Because
what
I
you're
think
saying.
the guys I had ahead of him, the guys I had ahead of him, I think still are all playing great basketball, and I don't think there's anything to worry about in that regard.
Okay.
Oh, let me find it. Let me find my list. Hold on, because that's right. It's on designated report. It's not on my page. But yeah, I like what John Morant is doing, and I think that everybody now came into the year saying he was a superstar, and we're seeing him play like a superstar.
I'm with you, honestly, and I feel like I'm a skeptic at all times because they had the run last year, they made the playoffs last year, but now there's kind of a target on that team and on Ja Morant's back where it's like, hey, everybody's going to give you their best effort every night, and the fact that Ja is kind of flamboyant, he likes to dance, he's gritty in after games and things like
I
that.
love it.
I feel like it rubs people the wrong way to where, again, you're going to get everybody's best shot. And he's delivered this year. You know what I'm saying? Like, he comes
Absolutely.
in every night, he's playing well, he's executing well, and he has that team continuing to win. So I'm with you. I do think right now Ja Morant is a top 10 player. Were you able to find your list?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had him at number 10. I
Number
had him
10.
at 10. I had him at
Okay.
10.
All right. So
And
I'm
I
gonna
had
go.
I had Kawhi, I had Kawhi Leonard at 9. So I mean,
Yeah, get Kawhi out of here, man.
right? I was gonna say maybe he's not properly
uh,
on my list.
so the next person I'll give you, Damian Lillard. Overrated, underrated, properly rated.
Overrated.
Really? Why do
I
you
think
say
so.
that?
I think because he's not the Dame that we right now that he was before he left from the injury. And I think that where that team is, they're expecting that Dame, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we're gonna get that Dame. Even when he's back healthy. He's injured again now.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I know he's not
that's
playing.
the Dame. That's the Dame he is right now. He's
Okay.
give you 48 games and a short playoff run, D.
Man, 48 games, not a lot, bro.
I mean, he's missing games right now.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're definitely right.
Already, we're 20 games in. He's only played 2/3 of them.
I I really can't argue with you, but my initial thought is he's underrated, um, simply because of the injuries. I think people forgot or forget just how good and how dominant he is and can be. But I really can't argue with you. If he's not on the court, it,
How
what are
can I
we
rate him?
comparing him to? Yeah.
How can I rate him?
Um, Next, DeJounte Murray, overrated, underrated, properly rated.
This is a tough one because I I wanted him. He was like the player I desired. When I found out that they traded him and or traded for him to Atlanta and
Yep.
what they traded him for, I was mad that the Knicks, with all those draft picks, didn't like pull the trigger on that. So I'm gonna say that he's underrated.
Okay. Okay.
That's why. Because to me, I think that a lot of even like talent evaluators in the league underrate him. I think the whole league should have been after him. He's got long arms, wide
Yep.
wingspan, the ability to score on all three levels. He's a willing defensive player and a heady
Yes, he
defensive player. He's
is.
able to get steals and blocks without fouling. I mean, you want that. A star potential on offense, who
Yes.
and then he gives you everything he's got on defense without you having to beg him for it. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
underrated.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And I think that 1-2 punch with him and Trey, I think as they continue to grow, again, they're both so young. Trey's so
Yeah,
young.
Trey is
As
such
they
an
can,
awful defensive player too. Like I said, that contrast of like Trey could give you all the buckets. You know, if
uh
Dejounte's having a night where he's only got 12, but he's locking down Jaylen Brown in the playoffs, then that's fine because Trey could give you 38 points. You
very
know,
true.
it's all you know. So that's the way I look at that.
I like it. And they're going to continue to grow together. I assume they're going to be together for a long time. I don't think
They
Atlanta,
got at least
unless
what
something comes up.
4 years?
Yeah, I
Four
think
years, I
Atlanta's
think
going to
he
try to
signed
keep
him.
that thing together. So, um, I got one more for you. It's a name that, well, I got one more for you. LaMelo Ball, overrated, underrated, properly rated.
It's like what for rated for who? Like I know what this kid is. To me, he's special. So I'm gonna say underrated because he's a player like how you were saying with Dame, like the injuries people might have forgot. But when he
Mm-hmm.
comes back on the floor, you see the pace that they play with in Charlotte. It immediately turns into wins. He makes them more exciting to watch. He makes them watchable. I would. That's
I
one of the
definitely
teams I
agree with
don't watch.
that. I
That's one of the
definitely
teams I
agree with
don't
that.
watch. I'm
Yeah.
telling you that. But you know, Lamelo, that's their box office. That's their tickets right there. Is him, and I think that a lot of people are sleeping on what that team is going to be once they hit the lottery and hit this talented draft that's coming up, and add that to a healthy Lamelo next season. They're going to be something to watch.
So just kind of transitioning from that with LaMelo, with the Hornets, I mean, what's their window? Like I thought I maybe my expectations are too high, but I thought we were going to see growth. I thought we were going to
Me too.
see, the team be better, play more consistent, and I'm not seeing that.
Not seeing
Um,
that.
is to your point, are we looking at the Hornets potentially being better or being good, being contenders in another year, another two
Yeah.
years?
I think the window, I mean, LaMelo is what, 22?
He's very young,
21.
yes.
Yeah, he's still
Yeah.
very young. I think the window is him. You know, you want him to turn 25 and that thing be set. So I think what's important for MJ and all those guys down there to do, I think Mitch Kupchak is down there now in their front office. But you want to get. I think they got to get off of Terry Rozier and you got to get off of Gordon Hayward. And you have your other young guys on that team and you work with those guys, you build around LaMelo. But you got to get off those older guys, even though Terry Rozier, I think, is like 28.
He's
But you
yeah.
got to get off, yeah, those guys and that money. And Terry Rozier right now, you can send him. if they would have traded him to the Lakers by now if they could get any draft compensation, but the Lakers
Yeah.
have
They
no
have
draft
nothing.
picks to give.
Yeah.
So that's why nobody's making trades with them because they know everybody knows they're desperate, but they have nothing to give.
Yep.
So I think that's what Charlotte should look for. Look to bolster your nest of draft picks and try to use it to move up if you like something in this coming draft, and make sure you get it and make sure it fits with LaMelo. I would suggest another, long, lanky slasher type player or additional shooting, like real shooting.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do. You got to have real shooting in this league now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's we shoot a lot of threes, and
It's crazy right now. The Knicks are like leading. I think they're like second in the league in scoring and last in the league in 3-pointers.
That's
That is
actually really
insane, right?
impressive. Yeah.
That's impressive, right? I
Yeah.
was like, yo, Jalen Brunson, 2-point assassin.
Yo, you're absolutely right.
2-point assassin.
So I know we didn't have anything on the show sheet for the Lakers, but you mentioned Rozier and the Lakers and no draft compensation. And the Lakers or the Nets got to come up once a show at least. We saw LeBron come back from injury. We also saw Russ get bust in the face, and last week they've looked better. They're still a bad team, but they've looked better. Is LeBron coming back? Is the moment with Russ? Is the way Anthony Davis has been playing? Is that enough to galvanize that team? And again, I don't think they're championship contenders, but at least get them back into the conversation, back in that 9-10 spot, in the West. Do the Lakers have enough right now as currently constructed?
Yes, they're 7-12, 5 games below 500. They have enough because you can't count them out with LeBron. And we know that. I mean, this is going to sound boring. I know you guys are looking for some hot take. I don't got it. They got LeBron. Anthony Davis is starting to figure it out. Yep. That is what I got for you. When I say those two things, if you know anything about basketball, you should know that that's enough to at least get you back to 500, which is where they should want to go for now. Get back to 500.
Yep.
Get a stretch of wins in a row. And then from there, you got a new season. You just work from there. I think that they're going to just have to they got to figure this out. And they're veteran players who want to win. It is very clear that those guys want to win. They all need. LeBron needs it for his legacy. Anthony Davis needs it for his. And Russ is, he is looking like he's making any sacrifice he has to make to make sure that they get this thing done. And that's a good sign for the Lakers.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
It went from we got to trade this guy a couple weeks ago to now, he's a key part of that second unit and really making things work. So I think that they can at least scrape up into the play-in, and then at that point, if you got LeBron James and Anthony Davis in a one-game playoff,
anything can happen.
Anything can happen. You should be all right.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. And if Sean was here right now, he'd be throwing hella light bulbs at us because he said Russ should be, his role needed to change, maybe come off the bench, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But
I said that too, by the way. I've been saying they should bring him off the bench because he was used to Oklahoma City playing with a bunch of scrubs. So put him back and put him back with that Laker bench, which is a bunch of scrubs, and he'll make them better. And that's exactly what he did.
Yeah.
They all started playing better when they played with Russ. Because Russ just got the ball, and all you got to do is catch that thing and shoot it.
Exactly.
I'm going to have it the whole time. Just catch it and shoot it. I'm coming down the lane fast. Bullet pass, catch. Like, that's all you got to do. It's easy.
And that kind of brings us full circle right back to the MVP conversation. That's what Russ was doing in OKC. That's what Luka's doing right now in Dallas. And yeah, man, I do think
Luka
the
made
Lakers,
the wildest pass last night.
Bro, the underhand through traffic.
Yeah, the underhand thing, and he spun it, it hooked, it curved. It was like a soccer pass.
Bro, How do you
What
even
was
think
that?
to attempt that in a game?
Yeah, it spun back to him when he
Bro.
caught it. It was like
And
it was crazy.
I don't know if you saw Clay. Clay was trying to play deep, like he was spin cycle. He didn't know
Oh,
where the pass would go. Like,
he
bro,
was like,
that pass was incredible, man. Yes.
he was reaching out like, yeah, where is it? Yo, it
Nah,
was
we
crazy.
got
I'm
it.
telling you,
My thing with
MVP.
Luca, my thing with Luca is I don't know if his style is conducive to winning,
Me
like a
neither.
championship. So
That's the worry.
similar to Russ, similar to James Harden. Like he's gonna get his, and he's gonna play well. The team's gonna play okay. I just don't know if it's gonna translate to a championship, and that's
Exactly.
my fear, honestly, with
And a
Luca.
huge indictment to that being true, like huge, validation to that is look at Porzingis right now and look at Jalen Brunson right now.
Yes,
Without him,
yes,
able to run their own shows and get a couple of possessions now where they got the rock and they can do their thing.
yep.
Porzingis playing the best basketball of his career.
He's been
Jalen
yes,
Brunson doing the same. So I mean, it's Luca is not a plays nice with others type of player.
yeah.
Like other superstars are not going to want to go there and play there. Like Kevin Durant might be the only person I think that wants to go and do that because like, oh, he just has
I
the whole
could see
time,
that.
and I like don't want to take. Like he can do everything, and then I'll just be here.
I
And
could see
he'll
that.
take 10 shots and score 30 and be fine with
Yeah,
it because he's like it's just great basketball. He's a
we'll see,
weirdo like
man.
that. Yeah, man.
Katie is a weirdo, but
I don't know why he doesn't want to. Why don't you want to? Like you want to be great, but you don't want to be great. It's weird. You know what I'm saying? Like he
yeah.
wants to win. Like he wants to be the champion, but he doesn't want to
But
like all the responsibilities that go with being a legendary player, a great player. You don't want
I mean, we also know that all Katie wants to do is play video games and smoke weed. So like,
them. And who?
and play basketball. Exactly. So
Yeah, that's
like
it.
that's all he really cares about. He's not overly interested in like the glitz and glamour of the NBA. I feel like I know
Yeah.
that I know
He don't
we
even
know
cut his
that
hair. He don't
we
even
know
brush it.
we know that KD knows that he is an all-time great player, but
Yeah,
literally all he wants to do is go out and play basketball. Like he's not
that's it.
trying to be in the spotlight. He's not
No.
trying to be in the news. He just wants to play basketball and go home.
And play 2K and
Yeah.
and smoke weed
Yeah.
and chill. Like
So
chill with his boy. Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's the move. Maybe Mark Cuban got to get on the phone. We know KD wasn't happy, earlier in the season during the offseason. So maybe
Yo,
Mark
see
Cuban
what it
tries to
is.
pull the trigger.
I'm sure Dallas got some draft capital. They got some stuff back for Porzingis, right, or whatever. Yeah.
They can
So
make it
from
work, I'm
Washington,
sure.
they can make it work. Brooklyn needs draft capital because they gave all theirs away.
Exactly.
So so somebody's got to, you got to figure it out. You got
Yeah.
to figure it out.
So that's it for this week of Heat Check. Cash, do you have any games that you're looking forward to, or anything you wanna mention before we
Yes.
get out of here?
And oh my God, I'm telling you, I made the prediction, but this is the game tonight. Tyrese Halliburton making his way back to Sacramento. Pacers, Kings, 10 o'clock tonight.
We
Check
gotta
that out.
tune
If you
in.
got League Pass, get that. I'm telling you right now, that's a game to watch. These are two fun young teams. Check that game
Yes.
out. Pacers, Kings.
All right. We'll check back in next week. Again, this is my guy, Cash Walkin. I'm Johnell. This is Designated Report. Heat Check. We'll talk to you guys soon.